Hello and welcome to Beaverdale Books. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's book talk. And before we begin, I want to mention another event this week, tomorrow, at 6 p.m. That's a little bit different time than usual. Rachel Yoder will share her novel, Night Bitch, which was made into a movie, and I guarantee it will be a great evening. It's co-sponsored by DMAC, and it'll be moderated by Mark Dickinson. So now, onto the program. When Jess McCallister bought a fixer-upper farmhouse of her dreams, the time-worn rooms had everything she wanted, and one thing she didn't. A ghost with a track record of getting rid of the previous owners. Melinda Wichmann. I even practiced it.
You were close.
That
was good.
Is an Iowa kid who had the privilege of growing up without a television. Here's her disclaimer. Her family eventually bought one when she was in high school, but by then it was too late. She was already addicted to reading and storytelling. So after graduating from Iowa State University,
Go Clones,
with a major in journalism and an accidental minor in American history, she spent 35 years as a newspaper reporter, columnist, photographer, and editor. And then retirement in 2023 brought her time to finish the novel she'd been messing around with for longer than she'd like to admit. Melinda and her husband operate a 3-generation family farm near the Amana Colonies in eastern Iowa, where they live in a very unhaunted 100-year-old house. And she enjoys gardening and showing her Australian shepherds in obedience trials across the Midwest. So please join me in welcoming Melinda Wichmann.
Very
That time
good.
I got the last name right.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to take an informal poll. How many of you are DMOTC members?
I could actually say no. I just am there all the time, but I'm not a member.
Oh, you're not.
Shirley,
Okay.
come up here with us.
Okay.
Okay, well, it looks like three-quarters of the audience is dog people, which is wonderful.
Did you have a dog? I did. Okay, she counts.
Okay, she counts.
I did too.
Okay, so we're all dog people.
I'm a dog.
Okay, that'll be good when we talk about the second book. At our house, and this drives my German husband nuts, there's Ghost, which is book 1. Book 2, which is coming out through Hayseed Press this summer, is new characters, new setting, new plot, new everything, not connected to book 1. Book 3 is the sequel to book 1. So when I tell Jeff that I'm working on the book, he wants to know which one, and he thinks they should have gone in order. And I tried telling him my brain doesn't work like that. So when I wrote Ghost, I started it, I don't even want to put a date on it. I had the idea in my head for a long time. I read avidly when I was in high school. I loved Elizabeth Peters, who also wrote as Barbara Michaels, and she wrote these wonderful, not over-the-top romances, and they always involved a couple and an old house and ghosts. And I just fell in love with that idea. There was always a protagonist who was going somewhere to do something with an old house for a relative or what have you. And I thought, I'm going to write that book someday, just because I wanted to write a book that I wanted to read. So I started it a lot, and I restarted it, and I worked full-time, and I helped my husband farm, not tremendously because I worked full-time, and I also had a full-time hobby with the dogs, which took up most of my free time plus. So there wasn't a lot of time for writing. The newspaper industry kind of started going downhill. I want to say 2008 stands out in my mind. A lot of things happened. The economy tanked. Newspapers shuttered overnight. The group that owned my group of multiple small town papers, we started getting sold to different corporate owners. And every time the newspapers changed hands, the first thing the new owners did was cut the staff, because the best way to provide really excellent community coverage is to not have anybody to do it. And things were not good. And every time, hi Charlotte, we're still at 100% dog people. So every time we had a new owner and someone else's position got cut, I'm not really sure how I survived. I had seniority, but honestly, that I should not have been there, because what I had, the initial job I had signed on for, was so left in the dust that I was doing things that I did not know how to do and was not qualified to do, but I did them anyway. Anyway, long story short, I started writing to escape. And I was working from home. All of our brick and mortar offices have been closed because apparently you don't actually need face-to-face contact with your community. So I sat in my old house in my cornfield and managed 5 newspapers. So in the morning before I clocked in, I wrote. And I had ideas about the characters and the house and the ghost and how things would come together and how this was all going to happen. Only I really didn't know how it was all going to come together because I didn't outline it. And I would not recommend that approach. I wrote and wrote and wrote. And if you do that for a while, if you sit down and write every single day, whether it's a couple paragraphs or 2 or 3 pages, or you really crank out a whole bunch of words, eventually you get something that looks like a finished manuscript. It may not be a good one, but it's done. So I finished it shortly before COVID hit. And in 2020, when the world shut down and there weren't any dog shows, I got serious about having it edited and doing some rewrites and trying to get it out there and do something with it. And that took a number of years until I connected through a writers' conference with Pearl City Press in Muscatine. And they agreed to take it on and publish it, which was a whole new experience on a whole lot of different levels because they were a small indie press and I was a brand new author. And I'm really not sure any of us knew what we were doing, but we did get a finished book. At the same time, I have discovered writing a book is like reading a book. And sometimes you can't just read one book at a time. You have your house book and your car book and your emergency doctor's office book. So I had written Ghost, and Nick Narrigan with Hayseed Press contacted me. And initially he said, hey, we're doing a collection of short stories, kind of weird, ghost story-y, Halloween-ish stuff. Would you be interested? And I said, thanks for the invite, but I was up to my eyeballs with getting Ghost across the finish line, and I said, I can't do it. Well, 6 months later, here he comes again, and he says, we're doing a Christmas collection. Would you like to write for that? Sure. And in the middle of all of that, I had also started book number 2 which remember has nothing to do with book number 1, because I wasn't sure where book number 1 was going. And I don't know if this is how normal authors operate, or if there's such a thing as normal writers. I felt like I had so many projects in the air. At the time I started book 2, book 1 did not have a publisher, but I had jumped into the short story thing for a different publisher, and I just like to write. It's recreational. It's, some people knit, or I don't know, just do little handiwork stuff. I write.
You find it's therapeutic?
Yes. It's escapism. I can leave the crap behind. You know, I can just get away from life. So, anyway, here we are with 1 book out and 1 book in production. And it feels really good to be sitting here talking about Ghost again, because I am working on the Ghost sequel. And sequels are really tricky things, and I have no intention of doing a series, because Jesse and Dan just exhaust me. I love them dearly, and they are a lot of fun, but they're tiring. And I don't see them becoming a series. Now, that may be famous last words. I do want to do the sequel. When you take those characters that you established in the first book, there's so much. I am using that as a reference book now when I write the sequel, because I have to think, okay, what did they say, and when did they say it, and when did this happen? And you know, the characters, you can carry the good stuff from the first book, the things that make the first one, that readers say, yeah, I want more of this. You can't just write the first book over. Things have to happen, and relationships have to develop, and personalities, characters have to change. And then you have to invent a whole new reason for Sarah Cameron to still be in the house. You know, we got everything carried away with her mess of a love life, but she's still there. So I have been working on the sequel to that and spending a lot of time trying to figure things out. So ask questions. I know some of you have read the book and some of you haven't read it yet.
I think I'm actually going to go home and reread it.
So is the corgi not going to be incorrigible this time? I've been teasing her about that.
The corgi is in the sequel. He does not have a huge part, but he does get mentioned a little bit more.
I'm feeling left out since there's no golden retrievers.
There are no
Well, the only
Goldens.
corgi was incorrigible.
Well, you know.
And he is. You can correct me if I'm wrong when it comes out, but I think I have portrayed him as I have known several corgis.
Yeah. Well, incorrigible actually fits them quite well, if you want to know the truth.
Is Sarah going to have a dog?
There is mention of a dog. If you remember in the first book, the dog is pictured in several photos in the old album. And I've kind of worked that in a little bit.
Uh-huh.
I'm finding with the first draft of the sequel, it wants to go everywhere. And I can put this in. This is a great idea. Or this is another idea. I can throw it in. And doing that in the first draft is okay. And then at some point you realize, okay, this isn't all going to make the cut.
Murder your darlings, right?
Yes, kill your darlings. A lot of this is going to have to go because maybe it's cute or funny or appealing, but doesn't really do anything. And that was a lesson I learned with Ghost. I way overwrote it. When I finished one of the first drafts that I was pretty pleased with, it was at 110,000 words. Wow. Which is way too much.
Yeah.
That's too much.
How many words are in Ghost?
89,000 is what it published at. I think most novels are around like 7,000 to 70 to 90 is a good ballpark.
It's interesting. I never knew that.
They vary.
They do.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, yeah.
J.K. Rowling, I don't know what her word counts were on the end of the Harry Potter series.
Well, you know, she came out, and, well, it wasn't, the two biggest books were Goblet of Fire and Order of the Phoenix. And she came out later and said she overwrote Order of the Phoenix. It was way too long, and there was stuff in there that she wished wasn't.
Oh, I feel much better. Because when I go back and I read passages and I think, oh, I wish I would have changed that. And I was so happy with it. When I sent the final print draft to the publisher, I said, we are done. This is it. Just go. And I was really happy with that version of it. And I think it's just human nature to keep wanting to revise and edit and change. I could go back and rewrite parts of it now. It would still be the same story, but
it's like your baby, and you have to let it grow up and move on to the next one and keep that going and growing.
Right. At some point, you have to turn it loose to the world, and that's scary. But at the same time, it's like, I am so done with this. I have written it and rewritten it and self-edited and had it edited, and part of it, I was just kennel blind. I couldn't see. I needed somebody to tell me the fronts and finishes were off.
So how did Jeff handle all of this while you were doing all of your writing when it was during the winter and he didn't have the fields to escape to?
He just watched TV and asked me when supper was ready. He was that was his support husband, was just to stay out of the way.
Sounds like a good husband.
Yeah.
He was.
He was.
He is.
This is what
He
she
is
was
like,
telling us about the next one.
to clarify that.
Is that who gets killed at the dog shop?
No.
The sequel.
Oh. So when Ghost was kind of up in the air, and I decided I want to write a dog show murder, because I have done the dog thing since I was 9 years old. I started in 4-H and just took it from there, and didn't really get serious until I graduated from college and had my first dog in my first apartment, and I had a life, and we all, if you've been in any club, and I don't care what, kennel club, garden club, quilting club, book club, there is somebody in there that will drive you nuts. And it's one person, and they drive everybody nuts. And with the title of the second book is Exercise Finished, which, if you train and show, you know is the judge's final words at the end of each skill set that you perform with your dog in the ring. The judge says, exercise finished. It means you are no longer being judged, and you can move on to the next setup. And in this case, exercise finished means you're dead. Yeah. So it's very much a cozy mystery. It is not gritty and bloody. You don't see the violence happen, and you very briefly see the aftermath. But anyway, the person that absolutely nobody liked, and they're not really mourning her, but they are upset that the trial got canceled.
Yeah, because you don't get a refund.
You don't, well, they talk about it. They have to call an emergency Kennel Club board of directors meeting.
Oh,
What are we going to do about the money? Is this an act of God?
I don't think so.
No, probably not.
Do we need to refund people's checks? What are we going to do? And this club,
Schedule.
we can't do that, but we do have a fall trial. But do we want to hold our fall trial at the meeting where somebody got whacked? So it was fun to look at all the Kennel Club personalities, and for all of us, if you've been in a club and active in a club, you've been through all of this, you know all the minutiae that go into the background of putting on an obedience trial. If you just go to one and you watch the exhibitors and you watch the judge, you just see it in the context of that day. But this book kind of explores all the behind the scenes stuff that goes on and all the personalities that are involved. And I hope that people who don't train and show will pick it up and read it and enjoy it, just because it is a window into the world that we all enjoy, but is very is very strange to people who have a dog and enjoy it as a pet and just have normal dogs, and do normal things. I did struggle a little bit. I thought, geez, I have to actually think about killing somebody.
We probably all have suggestions of some.
Unless you're in the library.
We wanted it to be a choose your own
I have probably drawn from all the people that I have met over 50 years of showing to form this one character who was so blatantly annoying that everybody wants her gone. And it turns out a lot of people at the show have very legitimate reasons to want her gone. And when the poor chief of police shows up, she's not a dog person. She does not understand the dog training culture. She just doesn't really get it. And here she is faced with all the exhibitors showed up for their 8 o'clock ring time, and there's a body laying in the open ring.
Well, you would have thought the people there at 6:30 to open the doors would have found
Oh
it.
yeah, the trial chairman finds her. So that was fun to create different reasons that people would have to exterminate this person and how they would manage to get it done. And I am not a murderous personality.
I love plotting a murder.
Maybe it's a good outlet. Yeah. So I write first person. Everything I've written has been first person. My short story in the Christmas anthology is first person. So is Ghost. So is Exercise Finished. Initially, I wrote Ghost third person. And somewhere along the line during a rewrite, I just flipped it. I felt like I could connect with the main character easier. She is not me. And the main character in Exercise Finished is the trial chairman, and I am the trial chairman for next weekend's 3-ring circus at Amana. And I did draw on a lot of the things I've learned in the last year setting up this trial, and just my experience being on the trial committee forever. Go ahead, ask more questions.
How did Jeff feel about the new book coming out where you actually have someone murdered?
He has not acted concerned.
He's not a dog person. He doesn't have any worries.
No.
You're going to
Yeah.
kill me, but I'm a writer too. I am going to suggest, because I have an author friend in our Sisters in Crime group, and I think he's a really good writer, but he has terrible titles for his books. They're all like colors, so you can't differentiate them. And my suggestion is maybe think of something else that'll tie in with the book, because unless you're into what you guys are into, nobody else is going to know what it means.
But they will when they read it.
But
That
you need
did
it to hook
concern
'em
me.
to buy it. You know,
Uh-huh.
like that's a good hook.
I actually explain the title in the preface of the second book. It's something different, although someone laughed. She was an older neighbor of ours, and I was visiting with her about writing and all, and she said, "Oh, what's the title of the second one?" And I said, "Well, it's called Exercise Finished." And she says, "Oh, if that has anything to do with working out, I'm not buying it." And she's like 90. No, Connie, that's not it.
I can see where she's coming from though with that.
I mean, use it in the book, but
It's
my
it's
God.
going to have a really strong cover image to
Yes.
get it across if with that title.
I'm hoping my designer comes through. I'm using the same designer who did this one, but it's going to have a different feel. I also hope to have him do the cover for the sequel to this and use the same style, the muted watercolor.
I've been playing around with a story, a mystery, cozy mystery that involves a dog too. Even though I'm not as into dogs, but I've had one. I had a beagle when the kids were little, and but in my story idea that I've been playing with, the dog is really a bad dog. I mean, it's an older woman who owns it, and she's named it Precious. He's not precious. He's so awful. He's just an awful little dog. But he's going to help solve the mystery. One of the scenes I was thinking about that you kind of helped me come up with tonight was I had him in puppy training with the kids. And this is when my kids were like in grade school. And I ended up meeting a friend that I grew up with who happened to be there with her kids too. But our dog is a little male beagle, and he was very, well, he liked to,
Amorous.
yes. and it was a little mastiff puppy who, over the weeks of training, she eventually was way bigger than him. And she did nip at him and tell him to leave her alone. But the owner of that dog, he made me very uncomfortable. He would just sit there and he had this look on his face, like he was enjoying me being uncomfortable. And I could kill him.
And there's book 4.
Yeah, there's more. I was just when you're in, it really doesn't have to be a dog club, because having been president and then trial chair for Des Moines Obedience Club for so many years, and then I went and did the president and convention chair for the Des Moines Camper Club. And there were all the same personalities.
Yes.
It's like the name would come out, and it's like, no, wrong context, wrong club, different person, same personality. But it is amazing how all of those things will show themselves when you get people together in those
Right.
situations.
Right.
The other thing you do have to check out, Sisters in Crime. We are the only local chapter in Iowa, and we do have excellent programs for authors this past week, we had it's once a month, but we had Kara Black. You heard of, she's a big cozy mystery author. Not necessarily cozy, but she's a big author.
I had looked up your website, and I think every weekend that you guys meet, I have a dog show.
Oh. Yeah.
Because I was really intrigued. I thought I should go. I should go to that. But I could make it to so few.
I know they can offer some great advice.
When I wrote Exercise Finished, and I was creating this personality and the other personalities in the club, the other board members, and just the things that the club is doing, I was terrified that I was going to create a character that everybody knew. Oh, I cannot do that.
Or at least relate to.
Someone will come after me.
To be sitting there going, oh, that's somebody or another.
And I want people to recognize the characters, but not like, oh, that's, yeah. Not be able to identify them.
I did just resign from a club within the last month to 6 weeks. Not DMOTC.
Okay.
But it was a dog club. And I resigned for that very reason, is that there was one person that thought that all the control rested right there. And would say, oh, we're going to do this and this and this, and somebody would make a suggestion and it was just shot down. And I thought, I'm at that age where I don't have to do that. And so rather than saying something that I would probably later regret, I just said,
Or do something.
I could be in your
Or commit murder.
Okay, if somebody in any of the Des Moines clubs, Golden Club, Shelter Club,
No, I
bites
didn't.
it in the next couple weeks, I don't know
We're gonna know.
anything.
No, but I completely get it, because there's always that one person.
I have tried to capture, there's the old hands, the people who have trained and shown since God made dirt, and they are adept at all the political maneuvering. They know what has to be done. They can do it without being told. And then you've got the new members who they're new to the sport and they're not really sure what they're doing, and they're still at the point where they get their feelings hurt a lot because they haven't figured out that you got to toughen up a little bit if you're going to stick with it.
Put your big girl panties on.
And I am apparently incapable of writing anything that doesn't turn into at least a mild romance. So I brought in a romantic interest for the protagonist, and he has absolutely no clue. He walks into the beginner novice ring with his dog that he trained from watching videos on YouTube, and it is a disaster.
Okay, if you made that a woman, it could be a friend of ours.
Hey,
Not you.
supposed to recognize it. Well, this is why, let's see, last time I was a DMOTC club member was like 45 years ago. And at one point in time, I'm going, okay, this is too much personality for me, and I have not belonged to any club since then.
There were times.
Well, and that's the other thing about Sisters in Crime. This is terrible, but I look at it as a professional writers organization. We have one member who keeps calling it a club, and I just want to smack her. It's like, we pay money to participate. We have professional authors, we've got several, and it's more than a club, but I can't get it through to her.
So there's the murder, and then there's the there's the layers of dog training, conflicting training theory, because dog people. If one person trains one way, 6 other people are going to tell them why that's wrong. So there's that to explore, and there's the relationships between the club members and the different levels of respect. It turned out to be more complicated than I really intended it to be, but I wanted to just capture that and let people step into a different world and enjoy it. How many of you have read Rita Mae Brown's Fox Hunting?
Oh yeah.
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 What is it?
She wrote a series on fox hunting, and they're cozies
Yeah.
based on fox hunting in Virginia.
Okay.
And it's just fascinating. I loved it. I haven't ridden a horse in years. I never went fox hunting. But the level of detail to the traditions and the clothing and what they wear on certain days and the traditions tied to different hunts was very enjoyable. I'll never go fox hunting, but I really enjoyed that window into that world.
That's what interests me in books, is when it's something that I want. I'm looking for an escape, so I want that knowledge, the habits of those people and how things exist in this world to come through.
Yeah. Because everybody has a dog, or they've had a dog, or their kids have dogs, or their kids want a dog. So I kind of hope in a way this kind of nudges them toward, get the dog, go to class, do something with it, take some puppy classes. Don't just turn it in the backyard and have it bark and annoy the neighbors.
Yeah.
Dig holes.
Dig holes.
Yeah. So are you going to be working with animal rescue leagues at all?
I don't know.
I think that would be kind of a fun thing. Yeah. We recently had a program out at the Equine Center for a book for an author. The book was about young men that were saving horses from slaughter, and the Animal Rescue League was just thrilled to have us come out, and we had a nice
We are at
turnout.
Second Chance Ranch then.
Yeah.
Okay. They're doing a lot of work out there.
Oh
right
yeah, it's a beautiful facility.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, and we had a good turnout. So, yeah.
My husband just sent me a picture of our dog, coincidentally, so I was all.
Okay, you have to show us.
What kind of dog is it?
He is a golden doodle, but he's an Animal Rescue League golden doodle.
And
So
he
he's
comes to visit sometimes.
Unknown origin.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, there he's good with a nice profile picture of him. See?
I know, Harriet, you've seen them.
I realize we're on.
Oh,
And you have to show Facebook too.
How's that, Digba?
Look closer. There you go.
All right, everybody, get out pictures of their dog.
All right.
I won't say what mine did today. We'll put your cameras off.
how are we on time?
We're just great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and reread Ghost because I said I started it one evening and I finally put it down at 2:00 in the morning
Wow.
because I got so involved with it, and I think I read it too fast. And then I got back up the next morning, fed my dogs, grabbed a cup of coffee, sat down, and finished it because I wanted to know where it was going. So
That's
I think
fun.
what I need to do is go home and sit down and start over and reread it so that I can pick up on what I might have missed the first time through.
Well, you always pick up
You do.
more when you reread
You
a
do
book.
when you reread.
And especially after talking to you and you going through some of the things, you know kind of what to look for in different situations.
I think the most frustrating thing about books is that you read books that you were crazy about when you were younger, and now you can't remember squat. It's like, well, when I was in junior high, my high school physics teacher, because I was into, I probably should have been a political science major or investigative journalism or something, but I was really into politics, and he told me about Fletcher Knievel, who wrote these like political thrillers, and it's like, so I hadn't read them for years, so I went back and reread Night at Camp David and Vanished and 7 Days in May, and it's kind of like, why can't you retain them? You should be able to retain it for a lifetime. That's what I think.
It's funny that you mentioned that. When I was in high school, I read Gone with the Wind, and I loved it. I listened to it as an audiobook in the last year. Boy, did that age differently. I still enjoyed it very much, but more purely from a historical, holy crap, kind of sense. Just being so much older and different views on women and race and politics and war and the whole thing. It was a different book at 60 than it was at 16.
To Kill a Mockingbird is a good example of that too, because I think most of us read that when we were in high school.
High school English.
And then you go back and you read it again, and it's a different book. Yeah.
Well, and Mary Stewart was like that with me. I loved her books when I was younger, and I've read a few the last few years, and it's like it just isn't the same.
We're different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Melinda, your books are going to age very well.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Okay.
Well, the world is different,
Yeah.
so that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
on
Makes a
your
big difference.
Attitude and things. So.
All right. One more question.
Thank you guys for coming out tonight, and check out Ghost and the 2 Hayseed Press anthologies. And Hayseed is coming out with Iowa Weird Volume 2, and it is guaranteed to probably be even weirder than the first one.
And Hayseed Press will be at the Des Moines Book Festival.
They will.
And Melinda will be there too.
And when is that?
That's May 2nd.
I'm doing a panel. I actually am not entirely sure who is on the panel or what we're going to talk
Well,
about.
I do know who's on the panel.
It's Nick.
Nick and
Is it
Mark
Mark?
Dickinson and you and Aaron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where is this?
It's going to be at the Franklin Event Center. It's an all-day long event. It starts at 11 o'clock,
Okay.
goes all day, and we will have about 30 different panels.
Wow.
Close to 100 authors will be
Wow.
there at booths in the 2 gymnasiums. We'll have kids' activities. We're showing a movie called Kiowa, which is a phenomenal movie, a very feel-good movie about all kinds of pie in Iowa, obviously.
Have you read Making Peace?
Yes. That's
okay.
Beth Howard. That's
Howard,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
I just read that. Some friends and I went down to see the American Gothic House late last summer, and bought the book. And,
Yep, and she'll be there. She's coming.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
she'll
cool.
be there
Okay.
with the movie.
It's an autograph book.
Yeah. All righty. Well, let's hear it from Melinda.